For those of you that do not know me, I'm Ron Latz, founder of LegalFenix. We're a strategic marketing consultancy. We work exclusively with law firms and offer fractional CMO services. I can't believe that this is the final installment of the 2025 LegalFenix Webinar Series here. We're closing it out with a bang and a conversation I've really been looking forward to for a handful of weeks here. We're going to touch on a lot of tactical information, as like content and webinars and paid search, Google Ads. Not necessarily, well, it depends on Q&A and chat if this becomes into a tutorial, but please use the chat to introduce yourselves, network with other people. I will do my best to also keep an eye on the Q&A so that I can answer all of the questions. Got a feeling this might just turn into a Q&A, Andrew, but we will see. But we're going to really talk through how all of these pieces actually work together inside of a law firm, right? So I'm joined by my very good friend and colleague here, Andrew Zihmer. He is oh, there we go. Saying, oh, great. We got people in the chat. Love it. Sorry. Just want to make sure I didn't miss a question already. He's the president of Vertex League, helps estate planning, law firm owners build a profitable, scalable firm that's going to support the life that they want to live. He is also the VP of Zimmer Law Firm, has been in the trenches. He's built and managed the marketing systems, leadership structure, operations at a law firm. So it's someone that's actually done all of this in the firm. As you can see behind him, he recently published the High Performance Law Firm, which is, again, it's going to pull together the exact themes that we're going to talk through today. So sales, marketing, leadership, ops, and how they work together as a cohesive system, which is great because if you've ever joined this or read my stuff on LinkedIn, you know that I'm constantly talking about the people, the process, and the technology within your marketing ecosystem. And then there is a reward for those that stick around until the end. I've got an offer for anyone. You'll just have to wait and see. But as we get into this, another thing that I do want to encourage you, because even my conversations with Andrew, it's not, I wouldn't be listening around like, what should I be copying, but more like how he's building the systems, how it's thoughtful, how it's strategic, and really hold up the firm as you grow. So without further ado, Andrew, let's dive right in. All right.
All right.
When you're thinking about marketing inside of a law firm, talk to me how you think about the difference between the system and then just sometimes the random acts or just disparate tactics.
Yeah. So I guess the quick background's right. I'm an engineer, so I came from this hyper technical world of really big complex systems. So my brain goes that way. So when I got into marketing, it was really how do all the different layers and pieces work together? And day one, I didn't think of it that way. It was, oh my gosh, there's Google SEO. Oh, there's paid search. Oh, there's back then Facebook ads, meta ads now, but
Right.
email, whatever's going on, and quickly realized how they all plug in and amplify each other. And if we're trying to go from maybe zero awareness, through intent into ultimately new client that's paying us and happy to be doing work, you went, it's really hard to do it with just any given one channel. Like some of them can definitely lift heavier than others, but this is really hard with just one specific thing kind of like isolated. And so my brain went, oh my gosh, I know how to solve this. We have to go find ways to get in front of people, how to nurture them different ways if they like to be communicated with differently. And it was just kind of like you could kind of see it like Iron Man, of like all the different pieces coming together of we have to actually build an ecosystem for our marketing that goes from no awareness, some intent, and pull them into more and more clients. And so I think that's the overall piece. A lot of folks then see it as like, so what's the one thing that I do? And you go, the one thing by itself, it'll work more than marginally, but it's so hampered compared to paid search with a squeeze page, with a lead magnet, with email marketing and SMS marketing, maybe even then be able to push direct mail back to them and start going, oh, I can make people want to work with us now.
Yeah. Before you even got to that point, what were some of the things that you then thought about internally that needed to be unlocked before you started investing into search, or what systems did you put into place? Because, you were within a law firm. I'm sure people are really interested to see like the order of operations that you took before you started investing too.
Yeah, so we had really built it around Tracy had built the law firm on referral relationships and strategic relationships, BNI groups. Think people might be in like a provisors, different things in the community. So everything that we had built was around interface with a person, typically email and phone calls,
Mhm.
and then a way to then have a solid sales process, even though it was very warm leads, where then we would get introductions and we could pull them through sales. So we had a strong sales side that we then continued to strengthen. As we did that, then we went, how do we get in front of more people? Okay, then the problem for us became, I don't only want to be when a strategic partner thinks about us. I want a little bit more control. And so we went, where could we exert control? And went, paid search then quickly moved to the top of the list. And so started solving that, but then was able to kind of branch it together at the sales process part. And that was when I started clicking, going, oh, it's bringing multiple channels either into sales or into a nurture portion to start warming them up to then get them into sales, and went, okay, we have to start looking at it that way.
It's really interesting how you even started and essentially started building these paid search campaigns yourself. I can tell you, like working with firms for over a decade and a half here, right? That is a very surefire way that a lot of firms that I've eventually worked with wasted so much money. So, did you work with an agency? Did you outsource it? Did you say, like, I can kind of do this myself? Like, how did you eventually land on, I can figure this out and I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it really freaking good?
So 2017, we start the firm. We've got, no money. We're, scraping by, and we got a pitch from a huge player that will remain unnamed.
Sure.
And it was a good pitch on organic and paid search for Google. And went, this makes sense. I like what it would do. So we did it, and the results were just atrocious. The wording on the website for keyword hacking it was just like, this is gibberish. It's awful. Paid search wasn't functioning. So we fired them. And the engineer in me went, my whole life has been solving really hard problems, doing brand new things. So I went, I can learn this. Like, it cannot be, like, it's not impossible. I've done hard things before. I'll just learn.
Mhm.
So I first went into SEO. I got SEM Rush and Ahrefs and all the tools, and just committed the next 1,000 or 1,200 hours to just let me learn it, and redid our website and started ranking and getting a lot of organic traffic. And when I did that, I went, okay, well, they were trying to do the paid. And I had this moment and I went, how does Google work? Like, as a business entity, how does Google function? Because search is free. Like, and you went, it's because everybody flocks to it and then they get paid on the advertising side. So they
Mhm.
made a great, phenomenal free tool that everybody wants all day, every day, knowing that some people then pay to play from an advertising place. And this is one of the biggest companies in the world. So I went, if I'm doing this well, and like we're having this kind of success on the free portion,
Mhm.
how good might be the promised land if we start paying Google? So that was really then my idea. So then I went, all right, how do I understand the high level portions of the algorithm, like the way search functions? How do I now start learning the paid side? Went down that, quickly learned about landing pages, and
Mhm.
then kind of went full circle on client avatar to then go, oh my gosh, all the things that I had to really try to write good content around before, and backlink and link it all together. It's a different problem, but I realized the control that I was wishing I had, you have it inside paid search.
Yeah, I mean, the ad copy and relevance to the landing page that you're pointing to. Are they staying on the page? Is it information that is, uh, you know, relevant to exactly what they are searching? Are they converting? Are they bouncing? All that stuff. I mean, you had to have like run through a couple of issues there when you're trying to like fine tune and, have different approaches or campaign buckets and negative keywords. Like as you're going through that, like, and what were some of the things that for anyone that's interested in trying to give it a run or go at themselves, like what were some of the missteps that you took initially
Oh
and then
my
you were able to fine tune?
So I mean, the probably the first big one I made was I went into smart campaigns. So I started building smart campaigns, and was crazy was they worked. And then I was doing all the homework to go, how do you make them work better? It's going, help files go, well, you go here, these would be settings you might start changing. And went, I can't change any of this stuff. What did I do wrong? And went, oh, it's because I'm locked in a smart campaign. So then I had to rebuild everything. That was frustrating. Initially, then I built everything in one campaign, one ad group.
Okay.
So trust planning, probate, Medicaid,
All in
trust
one.
planning. Well, one big one with different ads. So again, that was a huge mistake of not having the segregation for data, budgets, all of that. So then I had to pull back. Then I went to campaigns for practice area, one ad group still. I didn't understand the purpose of an ad group. So I just did one mega ad group. What the heck's the
Together.
point? And then we did that. Then it worked. And then I could make it work. I kind of bastardized it to work. So then I was nervous to tear it apart. And then it was probably then about 2.5, 3 years after that that I finally went back in and effectively partitioned out what had been working and then started split testing off all the different sub ad groups that I could want to do and really went, this is how it should have been done from day one inside of the different campaigns. And then was able to kind of correct that. That's then given us a lot more capability to really see it all through the right way, see what's working, what's not, what's higher in funnel, what's lower in funnel, building it that way now.
Question here, but if you're starting out trying to create a ton of campaigns that could be really intimidating, do you have any advice on how specific or niche that first campaign should be? And then do you add more on top of that? From Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. Different
I
Andrew.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good question. So I would focus within a practice area, for sure. So if you go, I do estate planning, probate, family law, business law, um, PI. Let's pick one of them. Would be that portion of a start. At least ad groups then. So if you think of the campaign as kind of the overarching, that's
Mhm.
reasonable to practice area. And then where you go, so kind of what's that made up inside of, or what are some of the differentiators? You don't have to go crazy with 15. I mean, you could run everything in one and just say, I'm going to target one. I think my opinion would be, if you understand your client avatar and then you say, I'm going to pick one of them, you could just run that in the first ad group and just run the first ad group against one specific ideal client avatar and build everything for them, build a landing page for them, and design for just that one big chunk of keywords. And when they search, they go, oh my gosh, this is me, right? See ad copy that's going to go, yep, these folks could maybe help with what I need, and then direct them to a landing page that's going to be that. And don't worry about capturing all of the potential traffic for all of your potential solutions. Get good at solving that problem for just one, provided there's enough search traffic for it. That's the only problem, is if it's some hyper niche thing that nobody actually searches for, it's just hard because sometimes you can't spend the money.
Right. And sometimes the geographical
Mm-hmm.
area needs to be
Mm-hmm.
broadened as well. Question, did you start off your landing page strategy? Did you send them on site or have dedicated landing pages off site?
We really fast had I mean, the very first smart campaign went to the homepage. We saw some results, and so I quickly went into, like, how do you make this better? Because
Mhm.
this is at least kind of functioning, and realized that was a horrible idea. So if I was actually making it work there, we had a lot of ability. I read Donald Miller's book, Building a Story Brand, and
Mhm.
that was what really connected the dots for me for the narrative that a landing page could and should have. As a hyper technical engineer, this is not what I came up in, and so that was the book that for me really made me understand what it could look like and how to walk them through a story.
Sure.
And then early on, then I started building those pages. We saw those results and went, let's fully commit to that. I'll add, for people listening, the landing page. I mean, the relevance all the way back to keyword has to be there. But if you want to kind of
Yeah.
go, what's one piece? I would say landing page design gets overlooked and is really the critical step between bridging. Did paid search work? And am I going to get leads?
Yeah, 100%. Because once they are there, they have to take the next step. They've got to take the action and convert to click, call, text, or submit the form. Right. I found, in some practice areas that might be a little bit more heavily research driven, like employment law, where you don't necessarily want to strip out all the navigation so that individuals can do some more research, consume some blogs or articles, have had success where we did direct those clicks to the primary website. But normally, most practice areas, it's a dedicated landing pages. Navigation is stripped down significantly. One primary CTA. firms that are really good on video have the video there, multiple calls to action, social proof. What am I going to get? How does this help me? And then obviously through the story, your differentiators, your value prop, like that's the stuff that's resonating there. I do like also when you talked about like Google's business model here, right? And I use this type of phrasing to set proper expectations with firms is I look at it as them being in the business of just maximizing revenue per impression. Like every time something comes up on that page, they do want to make money, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
ensuring that that user experience is world class, no matter what it is now with a paid search ad, an LSA, AI overviews, all of that. They want them to interact and ultimately get to a channel in which they monetize, you know? So, all right, well, we'll get off ads before the entire before the entire session here talks about Google Ads. When you were, doing this within the law firm, right? It was just a process of elimination here that you were the only one that was responsible or able to make the marketing decision. Like there's a lot of firms here that like they don't have the time to do the research that you did and they do outsource it. So like was that just a Tracy does law, I do marketing, and then when you started to think about expanding, what did that look like?
Yeah, I'll really step it back and say so. Tracy always practiced law. I did. I'll say maybe the less sexy sides of the business, and marketing was something I guess she was doing more from the referral side. And deep down, it really came from I wanted to contribute, and I didn't feel like my personality and my skills, especially at that time, really warranted joining those kinds of groups and getting referrals. And so I went, well, how can I also help the law firm grow? And it was like, well, let's try the marketing side. Like I can take that, and she's not in a good way going to fight me for it. She wasn't doing it, and so that was kind of the place I got to plant my flag. And then once it started working, we went, oh yeah, like let's actually commit more and more dollars to this in more strategic time because this then has grown to, um, Google. I think I just looked. It's 39% of all clients right now are coming from Google.
Okay. Mostly organic, local.
So I mean, we do organic, right? We're in the
Mhm.
local map pack, right? We run Google Ads, we run LSAs. So when you start looking at that, it's not like perfectly quartered out, but it's relatively close of what we get. True organic's the lowest. Map pack just we crush it. We have a lot of Google reviews that just does well. Business profile. LSAs, we finally got those cranking this summer, and LSA has been really up. And then Google Ads, especially on probate for us, are just kind of a tried and true. Like they are just good, dependable behind the scenes.
Also, yeah, no, estate planning firms that I've worked with have been more successful than most any other practice area that exists within LSAs
Yeah.
in multiple markets. There are some personal injury firms that are able to crush it because they have literally thousands of reviews. Whether or not they are all legitimate is a whole nother topic here, but they're able to game the system. And again, while those calls are being recorded, if you can prove to the AI and whoever is listening on that back end that you are offering a great experience to someone, they're going to want to make sure that more and more people are funneled your way because they make more money. So,
Yes.
as the firm, and then we'll also get into Vertex here, as both are growing and time is becoming harder and harder to come by, and you've got the skill set to do a lot of this work. How do you manage the balance of what do I want to do? What do I keep in-house? And then what do I outsource?
So that kind of came up earlier this year. It really started looking at the is fully, being inside of really the Google Ads LSA the best use of all of my time. So we looked and we had talked and we ended up going with a partner. It just didn't
Mhm.
work out. And they do great results for a lot of friends. So I still hold them in high regard. It just didn't work. They were not, I can't say beating me. They weren't competing with the metrics I had. And I think it was the upside was I knew what I could do. And when it wasn't, it was just we're losing revenue. Like let's just go back to what it's been, and I'll kind of figure it out from there. Now I'm starting to build the team inside to help offload the portions that I don't really want to do, so I can be a bit more strategic as we've moved into further paid search, meta now specifically. I went and got a media buyer. I'm not going to learn the meta side. I know enough to be dangerous. I know strategy. I know what I want to do. Let me go find the right person to plug in with me. And so now that's how we've been able to grow further inside paid search was I'm not going to go down the meta rabbit hole. I just know I want someone that goes, I can push phenomenal traffic to pages and funnels that I build, I'll handle it from there.
Got it. On the fractional side of the house, we do run into instances where like the lawyer, or it's mostly lawyers, because if they do have in-house marketing resources, they are incredible collaborative individuals that help us push things through and get approval. So if you are then also staying involved, like what are some tips or some of the ways that you've been able to not remove yourself, but not be the bottleneck when you're relinquishing control for certain things?
Having the data, I think, is really the big one. Again, as a math engineering person, I
Mhm.
love leaning back to the data. I think sometimes people don't want to, and really that's what's going to show you what's working, what's not. As you step back or allow someone else to have some creative control or implementation, is it working or not? I mean, end of the day, we're looking at lead flow and quality of leads and close rates against our proven um, like sales process to go, this is working. I stepped back some. You are taking my SOPs and the training and what I'm doing, keep doing. Or you can go, we're starting to see it crack somewhere. Metrics, where did it break, and was it part of that, or was it some other issue? For me, that's really been it, is just being able to kind of look at the dashboards and the numbers to go, okay, as I step back, this is now still standing on its own 2 feet.
Nice. I've never heard you say the term here, but it may be an inside joke here, but apparently Michael Murphy's been waiting for you to drop load list here. So
I mean, that's a big one. So, I mean, that's the exercise when I got this off the list. So load list real quick is a tool that I learned from another mentor of some people call it the time audit, but it's the take every single thing you do all day, work, personal, all of it, and then start looking at what only you could do and only want to do. Tuck my kids in at night, hang out with Tracy,
yeah,
eat, go to the gym, right? You go, I can't give those ones up. And then you go, well, what do I really like? Well, I really like doing this. Okay, so I'm going to keep this stuff, right? And then you start going, oh, maybe I'll write the next batch of ad copy, but maybe I don't need to be the one to go into the Google Ads like portal and actually go make updates. Maybe I don't need to go finagle the reports. Maybe somebody could go bring them to me. Okay, and then I'll make decisions. Okay, so you start pushing that on the load list, circling, going, okay, I need to delegate this to somebody on my list. It freed up more time. That the load list is the way that I kind of triage off what I'm no longer going to do.
I think about that like the quadrants and buy back your times. Like, what do I love doing? What do I not want to do? What am I great at? What am I terrible at? And just get it off the list because other people can either do it better or I really do enjoy doing this. So I want to keep doing that. Which,
Yes.
let's see. Are there any particular metrics that you look at to keep your marketing company accountable when they are running ads for you? I love this question, but I'll let you handle, Andrew.
Okay. Um, So I'll make the plug for this is a lot easier if your vendor believes in like UTM parameters and you're using tools like CallRail and you've really got all the tracking set up. If not,
Mhm.
though, it can all be done manually. So if you're doing it yourself and I don't know what that is, before you get there, you can still count stuff up. It'll take longer, but the information lives with minimal tools to go track backwards to how people found you and things like that. Um, so you really want to be able to have the attribution model then, and I don't mean it from inside Google's tool, like their attribution model. I mean like your own of what ad group kicked this, what campaign, how much money am I spending, to then start seeing where did my leads come from? Were they correctly identified? Like, again, we do estates and trusts. Estate planning brought me an estate planning lead, or did they bring a probate lead or family law? Is it something we can do or not do? And then being able to look at that from what's my cost per lead, but then against my sales system for close rate, I ultimately need this to there's take a step back. Google ads, to my opinion, or paid search stops at they hit your website. And a lot of people can really get like, I'm not making money. That's a lot of downstream. Is your landing page working? Are they opting in? Are they taking the CTA? Are they converting to make the phone call, do whatever to come into your ecosystem? How is your intake? How is your sales system? How do you nurture leads? How do you close? What is your follow up? Because if that's broken, that's not really Google's problem. You'll blame it on them, but that's not Google's problem. And so when I look at like what is the marketing company really responsible for, they're really responsible for impressions, clicks, cost per click, what is that looking like? Knowing that then I've got a secondary half. If you give me enough at bats, I'm going to hit home runs. I'm going to get on base. I'm going to hit home runs. Are those jiving, or is lead quality so bad that all of a sudden like close rate plummeted, but we didn't change anything? That's what I have to start looking at to start weighing. Is this functioning or not? And at the end of the day, I'm looking at ROAS. Like if you get what's the one number? What's return on advertising spent? And how good is that within an ROI? Also adding in then management fee to just make sure that we're not getting beat up with a management fee to
Yeah,
be like, yes, your ROAS positive, but ROI is 1 to 1.
right. We tend to put a standard accountability structure in place with a lot of our fractional clients to ensure that the vendor is held accountable for the performance that they promise, right? The firm goes to the agency makes a recommendation based off of some competitive research as well as all the data that they have, and then based off of, your staffing, your resourcing, your systems, your tools, and ultimately your expectations and business goals. I think, Andrew, here, if to answer your question, that's got to be identified and defined up front. So a lot of the firms that we are working with, if it's a paid search or even if it's organic, whatever it may be, we mutually agree upon what success looks like. And if you've got the reporting infrastructure in place, we are using things like the cost per qualified opportunity because that brings in a lead quality criteria. It's not just top line phone calls, leads, impressions. We then take a look at ultimately like the signed cases. What is our conversion rate then in between wanted to close? Because the agency is not going to be able to help you with that. You've got to take the swing. You can't blame the agency if you're I mean, ideally you're above 70, 80% from wanted to closed, but depends on channel, depends on a lot of other factors as well. But as long as it is defined up front, I found that's where you could be most successful. We've got another question here. What tools are your dashboards built in, and how are you tracking all of the marketing?
Least eloquent answer ever: Excel spreadsheets.
Is that because you're just exporting all the data out and running pivots?
Yeah, I'm a pivot table junkie. It's what
Yep.
I learned 2 decades ago, and so I'm just really, really comfortable playing in Excel. So, um, yeah, we don't do anything like prettier or anything like that. I've never got hooked up with like Hyros or some of these kind of vendors that exist with tools that maybe they would help. It's like I've got these massive spreadsheets built at this point where I can very quickly get data exported, ingested, and kind of kick out everything I need from the Google Ads side or Meta Ads side all the way through how we're handling from sales and then even residuals, right? To then say, hey, this person initially came from Google Ads. 2 years later now they've come back through on email marketing, but we never would have had that person if it wasn't for Google Ads 24 months ago, right? So we look at the tertiary referral channel on it as well.
Okay. And then for like tracking all of that activity, are you still you're collecting it within the CRM and then pumping it out to then calculate like lifetime value and then referral value, all of that?
Yes.
Plus one for ugly Excel spreadsheets. Listen,
Yes.
a lot of our clients are doing that too, especially if they don't have a sophisticated or at least a CRM that hasn't been fully adopted firm wide. I think that's a challenge that we do run into with some firms that no one, not no one, everyone isn't using the tool, right? So we can configure dynamic
Yes.
call tracking, push source data into a CRM. Um, Most of our firms are using something like Lawmatics, HubSpot, Lead Docket, and then pushing into a case management tool. Some of the ones on the Lead Docket Filevine ecosystem then have data visualization through Domo. Others are using Power BI. But at the end of the day, when we're trying to cross-reference out of matter management, these are the retained clients. As long as some of the integrations are set up, the source data is pushed from the contact record over to the case management tool, and now we can see it, you
and
know?
and for us, the hard part was I started building this stuff in probably late 17, early 18, and building more, and then at times manually going back to add more data in. Once I went, oh my gosh, I need other metric points. I want to know historically what we've done. All of a sudden, you went, I've got years of data, and then we had done a big Clio to Lawmatics switch 18 months ago. And it was like, well, it wasn't
Okay.
in Clio, it was here. I'm not going to now try to put this in yet. And now we're starting to think about a CRM switch to Go High Level. Go High Levels where I will pull it all back together and go, it can now live in the CRM.
Interesting. It's always a debate. Why potentially go? I'm a HubSpot guy. Love HubSpot. Never thought I would move off of Salesforce, but The first CRM I ever used was Siebel. So like literally like one of the first ones. I've seen so many of them. I run on Google Workspace, initially was using Copper, seamless integrations, but then HubSpot is where I landed because it didn't have the ticket of Salesforce price tag, but now like everything within it, newsletter, sales, CRM, all the reporting. So I'm always curious about like, did you look at that or what's why go
Um,
high level?
s- Spoiler for any of the handful of people that want to be here today, because there is some agency functionality, so that has intrigued me greatly.
All right, great. Love it. Okay, very
Yeah,
cool. Very cool.
yeah.
We work with some agencies that also wrap it up over a go high level instance. So we'll leave it at that. We don't want any too many spoilers here.
But yeah,
Since
I mean that's why it feels like that's the only place that is people go, can't I just have what you have? I'd have a lane to go, sure. Right now I
yeah,
don't have a very elegant way to go. Let me replicate what we do at the law firm to get in over to other people to go, could we just have yours? Not awesomely.
yeah, I hear you. I want to hit sales because of what you manage, webinars, and then the whole process of the small idea that was a book that ultimately became the book and publishing it and everything about the offer and then your ultimate webinar to promote that.
Okay.
Actually, we got another question here. Um, is there a best tool for creating landing pages, or what tools do you recommend? What criteria do you use to pick? There's so many options, native in WordPress or your website, whatever CRM you happen to be using. So we did just hit that as far as the CRMs. So what do you use something like Instapage, Bound? Like what do you use for your landing pages?
We're in ClickFunnels 2.0 for at
Okay.
Vertex and in the law firm. That when that moves to GHL, that's kind of again a part of why I like the funnel builders. The
Hmm.
only problem, real quick, to me with WordPress for landing pages is if you're doing squeeze page. So if you're doing opt-ins, hey, give me your details for this ebook. Opt-in, in my opinion, in WordPress is clunky at best.
Okay. I apologize, Mark. Michael's question came in. I thought I could have sworn that. Hello from Dublin, Ireland. Awesome.
Sweet.
Awesome. Quick one. Do you need personal control of your website? Yes, absolutely. You need administrative access and control and the
Yes.
ability to kick anybody out. My practice areas are set, and I use blog posts within the website as the landing page for specific search queries, client types. Should I be manipulating the overall website more? I use blog post. Might need a little bit more clarification there, Mark, as far as using blog posts within the. If you have something like a WordPress CMS or even a Wix or a Squarespace, typically the post type, right? You can have service area pages, blog posts, like different modules within the content management system. Are you asking? So it's WordPress. Are you asking for like different subdomains for landing pages? The blogs would just be typical posts.
I'm wondering if some of it here is if from an organic perspective, right? Blogs and the contents could rank really well because it's high value, and so if you then he's building for that would be good. If you're then
Yes.
pushing paid ads to those, you'll get such a better, such a such a better response if you take some of those elements, but then build them into like the real design of an LP,
Separate,
and
yeah,
then
separate
push
landing
traffic.
page.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes. Right. So I wouldn't be pushing that ad to the blog post directly within the blog on WordPress. I would have a dedicated landing page for the wills, the trust, estate, probate, etc.
yes.
Okay. If that doesn't answer your question, Mark, just pop back into the chat and we'll try to clarify as best as we can. All right, Andrew, let's get into sales here. So when you're looking at a process for sales, right? Like a system, like what does that look like? How did you design it? I know that you talk about like your not black box theory, but like the modeling of it. Like what are some of the things that you did in order to set that up and eventually even allow someone else to kind of sell on the firm's behalf outside of you?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was becoming exhausting. It's really all I've done since COVID has been sales, and I enjoy it. So it's not like it's been bad, but it's just grown. I'm at capacity. We now have two businesses, and all of a sudden you go, I don't have more time to sell at the law firm. I have less, and so it kind of came to a point of I've got to get this off my plate, and that really made me sit down and go. I can't keep it at the high level black box of lead comes to me, I do my stuff, they pay us money,
Close.
and they're closed. I went, okay, but what's the stuff? So I had to really sit down and start working through it, and then went saying it's too complex. I can't write it down was a BS excuse. I had to actually then go through a simplification process. So started working on that and coming up through what were the elements, what was working, what was not needed, what were these pieces, and then how would I train them? And what we found was that this was really based on avatars. So it was a quick discovery to then push them into one of our buckets, because our buckets are pre-built proposals with multiple offers, comparative offer stack. So then it was, how do we very quickly figure out which offer stack set that they should go see? So then we can build the value of what's going to be there, get it in front of them, make the, I don't say recommendation, but kind of point out the one or two that are probably best fits based on what they've shared. But it'll be determined with their attorney later. Handle objections as needed, get the sale and move them through. Did that, started training kind of my replacement here, and she's been holding pretty much my close rate, which has been phenomenal. And so was able to kind of zoom out and do that. And now we work really hand in hand from both the training, but making it better. What are the little changes we're making on the fly? Like, now we can both test them, so you can kind of see, is it something I'm saying, how I'm saying it? I can have Kayla try it, and then we can kind of come back and go, hey, that was a better objection handle. Let's keep going through that stuff. And we
Is
literally
that
wrote,
all?
I mean, we wrote the
This is my question.
130
Is it
page.
just
Yeah, I mean, it's 130-page manuals I wrote on all of this. Yeah, it's
okay?
phenomenal.
Yeah, that was going to be the question. Is this just a written SOP? Are you using Loom videos, or do you have something like Trainual in place?
I went old school this and just kind of wrote it. I mean, a lot of it's narrative. The manual, I guess, portion would really be like the overall sales framework tied to the script, and this is what to say right here, verbatim. And then where it gets a bit more branches open. I think that's where I always struggled, was a sales script to me is too rigid. It's really a sales framework. And then I was always
Sure.
struggling on how to document a framework. Once it clicked, make it on practice area. And then once I know practice area, what avatar am I speaking to? That's when I clicked and went, oh, once I know the avatar, it is kind of back to a script. I mean, we're going to keep it loose so it doesn't sound that repetitive, but like it's pretty straight line through once I know what kind of a person I'm talking to.
Yeah. When we at least audit this on behalf of firms, you've got to have enough fluidity to have a natural and organic conversation and be empathetic or vulnerable. But there is basically like there is a checkbook or a checklist, or there is like you've got to get all this information. If you start deviating from it or getting into, becoming lazy and just thinking like things are automatic, that's when conversion rates slip. I know we've been talking a lot about CRM and tools, so I'll share that, a lot of the firms that we work with that are on HubSpot, they're leveraging the playbooks, right? So like directly within the contact record or the like whatever it may be, they can follow that process. Actually, Robert from Elevamp is on here. I know with some firms that he works with, he also bakes in a super neat tool called Supered, which essentially gives you like the SOP with video and information directly into the web application, which is super slick, just to ensure that these individuals like they can't just be like, oh, put you on hold, go ask the question. I've got this objection, right? So it does help keep things flowing.
Yes. Yes, I like that. I mean, that was the biggest one, was just how much training. What I really found the secret sauce with, I mean, once identifying the right talent, talented individual, we did a lot of role play, and role play really,
Okay.
I could be the easy close. I'm going to be a 4-minute close. I'm going to make you actually just shut up and take payment. I'm going to be the bear with just everything. I'm going to be, I want to think about it. And we were able to just play until she went like, I can handle these. And I've seen a lot of repetition. Then we started turning her loose, and it was like, she was like, it's actually easier than what you showed me.
Outside of the role play, which I love. That was one of the first things I built out in ChatGPT with firms that were trying to do. It was like basically a prospect with different avatars that would progressively provide more difficult objections to
Mhm.
handle it, right? But are you using, I think you did mention using CallRail. Are you using the conversational intelligence? Are you listening to recordings? How did you train the individual to identify things that could be improved upon?
I mean, initially that was, we were sitting together, but during
Just
that
in the
same time,
room.
But during that same, there was just kind of that handoff period of I want to sit with you, coach. I'm here too to just kind of hop in if I need to. But during that process, I had I mean, hundreds and I mean thousands. I guess not thousands because I hadn't recorded forever way back, but we had a lot of recordings, and then with all the fun
Yeah.
transcription tools of today, I started dumping them into. I made a custom GPT then that was based on the playbook and everything I wanted, with then what I'd been doing, and I built a coaching grading app. So then, as you dump a transcript in, it gives you a real time score based on our playbook. It gives you what you did well, and then feedback on what you could change, any micro stories that you
Awesome.
use that you should lock in, how you handled the objection or didn't. That way you just kind of know, hey, you crushed it. Or you did it, you got an 82. This is what would have made it 90. This is what would have made it 100. And it's usually one or two takeaways to go, okay, I can work on that next time.
Nice. All right. We've only got about 20 minutes left. This has already flown. So if you do have questions, keep them coming in the chat or the Q&A. I think what we could do here is I'd love to get into the process of how the book was an idea, I assume, and then how it came fully fleshed out into this incredible resource. And because of the way that you promoted it, I think we could dovetail that into the webinar discussion.
Okay.
So if you bring me all the way back to the beginning, like when you start, I know a little bit of this story, but I don't know if everybody here knows, but like, when did you decide, like, I'm going to start writing all this down and maybe it'll come a book? Or was it just like a small idea? Just bring everyone up to speed on that.
So the firm was started in 17. I joined full time in 18. 2019, I started journaling and keeping some notes of just what was working. So it wasn't in book format. It was just, hey, this is working in paid search. This is working in sales. This is working in leadership. Hey, we did this. This was a bad idea. And it was just a way for me to kind of, I enjoy this time of year reflecting on what we've done. And so it was just these reflections of, hey, don't forget you did all these things and these ones worked, these ones didn't.
Yeah.
And then I created Vertex League in 2023, and that became a really awesome avenue to partner with law firms and help law firm owners. And at that point, the bulb went off of, oh, a book might be in the cards one day, and I'm sitting on some good stuff. So then I started kind of taking that and started morphing it towards a book. It was going slow, and then it was my New Year's resolution 25. It was the January one. It was like I will finish the book this year and get it published and done. So then I got that done, and we launched in November.
Awesome. Talk me through the promotion and like self-publish, bring like, did you work
Okay,
with anybody yet? Like,
I did.
just how,
I got a publishing group. They were, not wildly expensive, and did all the formatting and gave me another set of eyes and got it on to, KDP and just all the things I didn't know. And those were
yeah,
excuses. I knew just if I just pay someone to do all the parts I don't really want to, now I don't have an excuse because I'm willing to write. So that's what they helped with, and that was phenomenal. Um, if you know how to do that stuff, then you kind of probably a lot of times probably go, it's not that hard. But as a newbie, that's what was keeping me, I think, from crossing the finish line. So we outsourced it. Um, so the promotion, I mirrored a lot of what Alex Hormozy's done with, I guess, his last two books. So Money Models and $100 Million Leads. I
mhm,
saw that hyped event and went, people got pumped to show
yeah,
up to buy a book, myself included. And I
right.
went, there was an energy around a book. Like, this is fun. And so really, kind of studied the how he ran those events, what was the behind the scenes, and went, well, I'm going to take a crack at this. And so, um, you know, started teasing it out, built email campaigns, social posts, um, paid ads through Meta,
Mhm.
and really built to get as many people as we could get signed up for, again, a much smaller scale book. I don't have millions of followers and things like that, but went, can I get that? Can I still make it an event? And we put a 4 hour event on. We, I think had 500 some sign up, 201 or 202 people attended. Um, Average attendance time was like just under 3 hours of the
It's
4 hour.
incredible.
Did that. I made it exciting. I wanted to be high energy, which can be hard on Zoom when you can't see the other people really, and you're kind of just
And for
talking
that
to a
time
camera
and for that long.
for 4 hours. I mean, it was hard. I mean, Tracy was like, "How'd you stand?" And like knock out of the bathroom. It was like, I don't know, just like lived on adrenaline for 4 hours. It was my Super Bowl. And so obviously I launched the book, but I got into a lot of what a high performance law firm is, the
Mhm.
concept that law firms are businesses. Um, how to really stay away from burnout and how to structure a life that you want, and realize the law firm can be the fuel, so to speak, behind that. Of, it can be either the best thing you ever did or probably the worst. So let's make it the best, and how to build all of that. We did the book. Then we announced a big giveaway of a free workshop that we just had a couple weeks ago. That was just another 4-hour event that was just going to be all kinds of nuggets and tactical information deep dive. That was had a lot. That was just a free gift for being there that day. And we built it up with like it's going to be expensive, and when it was just free, people got pretty amped. And then went into the kind of the big sale. Then was the workshop that we've coming up in February. We're doing a double
Okay.
workshop, kind of two-dayers, like a workshop bundle, and got to sell it. And yeah, we sold out by the close of the webinar.
Awesome. I know it wasn't your first webinar and it won't be your last webinar. So from the first one to the second one, what were some of the adjustments that you had to make to ensure that the second one was more successful? And then now going through it for the second time, like what are some of the levers that you think you've got to pull for the third one?
Yeah, so when you zoom out, right, it was just a webinar. It was just a 4-hour webinar, and I think a lot of people, and that was what was fun, is I've made those comments now of, in estate planning, this was what we do in estate planning. This was how I did webinars earlier days of Vertex to get new people to maybe want to join and learn about it. This had a different energy, and I think the reason, what I learned was, oftentimes we come in and think webinar, there's going to be a beginning, a middle, an offer, an end, and it feels like that. And people, you see drop off at the offer. And so I went, how do I make it an event where people don't see it as an offer? They see it as an opportunity that they are hoping is in fact presented to them. And so that was, I think, the transition that I really made from my earlier webinars to then the book launch. Was
Mhm.
fundamentally was the exact same thing. But when I went, I've got something to show you guys in, people were like, please, I think there's some stuff I might need, versus like, here he goes with the pitch. And you realize that showmanship is actually what changes it to feel like that was just nonstop fun. I'm excited to be part of it. The year before I had done one, um, 40 people showed up. We sold a handful of things to people and made a couple $1,000s. And it was a success. It was a good use of my time. And then you realize, like, yeah, you 90x that
Mhm.
in a day a year later, and go, it's all in the little details. It was, I mean, I had over 1,000 slides. I mean, every word, the size of the fonts, what was highlighted, what was underlined, the image that went with it, where the arrows went. I mean, every single element was intentional. And I really believe it was, that is what drove the difference, versus like, here's some stuff let's talk about. Every word had purpose.
Did you promote mostly through the meta ads or was it primarily driven through the newsletter balance? Like where did you see most of the success and registrations coming from?
50-50.
Yeah.
My email list is solid, and so the people that I'm communicating with frequently, there was a lot of interest there. But then we got in front of a ton of new people, and a ton of new leads, and had a lot of success though on the meta side. I mean, for the on meta, I guess the two cool things that we did, one was we almost liquidated 50%. So we liquidated 48% of ad spend, which means, right, so for every dollar I spent on ads, I made 48 cents back during the opt-in process, not by the end of the webinar. That moment, I pulled back 48 cents. That's a game changer when you start running a self-liquidating offer model on a webinar. So that was a big win there. The other one was, though, when we looked at the math on the back end, ROAS was 14.5.
Solid. Real
Like,
solid. Yeah.
I'd run. I mean, at that point, you start going, how much money can I spend?
Right. Well, I think, and just because I know here, it was time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, literally, we ran
You
out. I mean, if
moved,
I could
you
go
had to
back,
move quick.
we would have started this months earlier, not the 3 weeks out that it was. And it was like under the gun. I mean, Travis, my media guy, is like, I need more video ads. I'm like, Saturday afternoon, all right, let me go to the office, get the teleprompter out, let's write some scripts, let's figure
Yeah.
stuff out. Here's 20 new videos. See, run them real fast in the next 48 hours, whichever one's pulled to the top will truly run. And then if you want variations, let me know. And in 3 more days, I'll shoot more videos. And I mean, it was insanity. We had 400 some pieces of creative.
Yeah. See. you talk about the time off, and I think you're on LinkedIn, you're what, almost at 90 days off this year, but like this is the type of stuff like you're going into the office on the Saturday, you're putting in
Yeah.
20 additional videos, like you're I just think people are like, oh, it's so easy. No, it's not easy. It's not easy.
But
You're putting
but
in
I
the
believe
work.
that I believe that like you can like volume negates luck. I believe
Sure.
somebody this morning said like at times you're just like psychotic about this. And I'm like, I'll just outwork people. I have this inherent fear, which is really good of like, but somebody might beat me. It's like, well, they're not going to. And it's like, but I don't know what they're doing. So I must just throw everything I have at it. And then I had this moment and you went, I mean, I just, in one day, now there was all the buildup. So I'm not trying to like, there was a lot of work, but you go in a moment. I made what I made as an engineer, I made in 2 years, I made in a day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's stuff that becomes hard to wrap your head around. Like when I go, people go like, "Are you sure you're glad you left?" Like this is not. I mean, in this entrepreneurial space, once you understand like which levers to pull and how to pull them and what sequence, it feels like unfair at times, and you just realize that's the game. The game has new rules, and the rules are very beneficial to people that are hardworking and willing to figure it out.
Yeah. What about the webinars on the law firm side? Are you doing those as well, right?
Yeah. So same thing, same media buyer.
Okay.
Built the entire funnel, worked everything through. Tracy's done the majority of them, although the last two I've done, it was kind of half in a pinch, half test of can we plug another person in and run the same thing with good results. Again, I mean, it converts. We're doing direct purchase. So no, I know a lot of law firms go to and schedule discovery meeting or let's talk further. Ours is whip the credit card out and become a client or don't. And we're running that over a 10x ROAS,
These
which
are all
includes
virtual or any in person?
all virtual.
Even better.
Yeah.
Even better. Is there a tier down or a step down if they don't want to purchase at that time?
That's what I'm kind of been building out. Like, and this has been all not retargeting, then past leads. Like, I wanted to have it fully segregated to know how is each individual webinar running. So my media buyers, like, we can bump these numbers. I'm like, I know, but then they're inflated. I want the core metrics before we start then doing re-invite campaigns, before we start doing anything like that, down sells. I was like, I want to know bare how well does this funnel actually work, which has then driven him a little mad. But now that we have that, now 2026, now we get to do all the stuff that I know makes it go up.
Right. You could test that. You could retarget. You can get the drop offs. You can offer a down step for all of that and just
Yes.
keep increasing incremental value per visitor, you know.
Yeah.
Been thinking about how this webinar series is going to be hopefully improved and enhanced in the next year. What tools are you using? Is it all just on is all Zoom stuff?
Vertex side, I typically do more in Zoom. I've played with Webinar Jam in the past.
Okay.
Um, it's that the real perk to that is if you're going to do evergreen. If you're not, I think Zoom is a really good platform that I think most people should consider. We use Demio at the law firm. It's a browser based this, so instead of having an app, it's all just browser based, which is good because when you think our avatar is probably 70 plus for the webinars, it's just one less app to have, one less thing to get frustrated with when they're sitting down with us. Um, Everything right now is in ClickFunnels, but we've started the migration to go high level. But all that's there. We do our email marketing inside of Active Campaign. Um, Texting is a mix of Active Campaign and Lawmatics, just depending on where they are. Once they become further down the lead pipeline, but we segregate. We don't get everybody into Lawmatics until the webinar's done, just to kind of keep things clean. Um, yeah, that's kind of our tech stack for that stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been on Zoom webinars, events. They've changed the name a handful of times this year. In some instances, it's been great. In others, it's been a little bit clunky. So it's a decision I'll make next year around if I'm going to make a move. But for most intents and purposes, it serves its purpose, you know. All right, last question here before we let everybody go here. If you could fix just one part or make a recommendation for a firm to just fix one part of their marketing ecosystem heading into 2026, where should they start?
I think I'm gonna have to pull in our good friend Charlie. man, and really talk email marketing for a moment. So many people are missing so many opportunities by not re-looping in people that maybe were a no at some point. And you typically have these email lists or text lists or mailing address like you have people who either worked with you, let's get them to work with you again. Or again, too many lawyers, because they're a little bit sales apprehensive, no is like a crushing no. No is just not right now.
Yep.
So let's get back in front of them, because when people go like, I want some easy wins, you have people that know, like, and trust you at least a little bit. Let's make that better. That's easier to make those people fall in love with you than to go get brand new people, brand new opportunities, and doing that. So I'm really big on fixing kind of what we already have, and I think getting back in front of past past people or cold leads can be one of the greatest things we could ever do.
Yeah, I do referral marketing and going back to previous past clients, even current clients to keep top of mind. I remember the first meetup that we actually did. He might remember it a little bit differently, but it was a challenge he basically put down, Charlie had put down on me saying, I was like, man, the time to like write these newsletters. He's like, and he said it much more gently, but he's like, you write on LinkedIn every single day. Don't tell me that
Same.
you can't write one newsletter. I'm
Yeah.
like, you're right. You're right. So like between that, the webinar series, podcast stuff, like it really has been a driver. This itself, this series, you're like from January, email newsletter list has doubled. Um,
See,
I'm
yeah,
pretty ruthless. Like I use HubSpot with like if you don't engage with my emails over 90 days, like you're off the list. I don't want to but you don't want to. I do re-engagement campaigns, right? When I've got something else, maybe. But either way, that is a great way to start. I do want to reward and thank everybody that has stayed. I think out of all the people that have joined, they've been here the entire time. I did promise an offer here, but this is for the first 10 people. If you have not bought High Performance Law Firm or you need to purchase more copies, go and do it. Send me the receipt. I will offer you a free complimentary 30-minute working session. This is not a sales call. Like, I'll look at what you're doing today. I'll break stuff down. I'll clarify, like, what marketing actually might be working or not working. It's only for those that join live today. So people out there that are watching the recording and trying to sneak it in, no, but send me the receipt. I'll offer that. That's it. Grab the book, send it over. We'll take it from there. Andrew, it's been an absolute pleasure. So lucky we got to see each other literally twice in a matter of a week. Um,
yes.
and really appreciate you helping me close out 2025 here strong. And best of luck in 26. I know there's some real big things with Zimmer Law as well as Vertex. So thank you. Thank you to everyone that joined. We can wrap up, Andrew. Actually, there is also a backstage. So any other people, thank you. Yes, Robert, thank you. Debbie, thank you for joining. We really appreciate it. The Legal Phoenix Webinar Series will be back in some way, shape, or form in 2026. So look out for announcements about that as well. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and everyone have an incredible holiday as well as a happy new year.